institutional perspective holds that children who do not succeed in school have parents who do not get involved in school events or support school goals at home. Recent research emphasizes the importance of parent involvement in promoting school success. Lack of participation among parents of socially and culturally diverse students is well documented. 26.7% of families in Saskatchewan fall below the poverty line. Saskatchewan has the highest poverty rate in Canada.
The poverty of First Nations is a direct result of the vast communities being stripped of their property, traditions, culture identity, and being placed on unvalued reserve lands lacking educational opportunities. The poverty stems from a deliberate continuum of needed services being underfunded. The issue of generational poverty, which is poverty in a family that has been passed for over 2 generations, began in the mid-1800s. John E. Foster stated that Canadian policies exterminated the buffalo, which was the people's primary source for food, clothing, and shelter, to make Aboriginals dependent. Status First Nations were unable to do things such as claim land as their own or take out personal loans or even trade free willingly. In references to residential schools, Schiffer said, "Many survivors report they had few resources to help cope with their experiences. They had missed out on learning their own cultural ways of coping and practicing good health, wellness, and good parenting." Survivors were targeted by the child welfare system during the 60 scoops with no other financial resources.
True or false? Parents raising children in poverty are content to rely on welfare. False. Many teachers assume this is true, but it is not often the case. Studies have found that most parents want to get off social assistance and want to work. And most parents are working, but still need to rely on assistance. We found that most parents raising children in poverty do have full-time jobs. In many cases, they have multiple jobs. They may work low-paying jobs or are a single parent relying on one income. In many cases, parents are stuck in the cycle of poverty that ultimately keeps them relying on assistance. They are working harder than most, but yet struggle to get by. The system has them stuck, and it can be impossible to get out.
Parents neither help nor know how to help their children to read. True or false? False. TLQP teachers critically evaluated such hypothesis stated in Culture of Poverty by Payne. According to research, parents were well educated to read and write. More than 70% of the parents had done high school diploma and rest were graduated with 4-year degree or attending college classes. Survey shows that 95 to 100% of the children are read by their parents or parents listen to them. Apparently, rest were read by siblings, grandparents or guardians. The main problem of not helping is lack of time. With limited funds, they are forced to work at multiple places and non-traditional hours or attending schooling themselves. Therefore, older siblings mainly teach many young children. Even with a busy schedule, parents try and attend and participate in meetings and seminars related to children's future career. Poor households have no reading or learning material. True or false? False. Myth-busting based on Compton Lilly's 12 myth about families in poverty. According to Compton, teachers make assumptions about the quality and quantity of educational experiences and family support that children bring to school. Thereby, TLQP teachers were asked to collect data and debunk Compton's myth about poor and diverse parents. The fact states only 2 out of 17 didn't have books. Rest of them not only had printed resources such as literary books, newspapers, educational flyers, magazines, maps, travel books and Bibles, but also educational board games and educational TV programs. Also, the parents were involved in reading regularly. Some of the parents also reported that they have hundreds of books, visit the library weekly, and even have children written their own books and stories.
True or false? Parents of children living in poverty don't care about their own education. False. High percentages of families living in poverty have at least one parent who has earned a grade 12 diploma, between 60 and 70%. And many have even taken some post-secondary courses to advance their education. Although they may have achieved important levels of education, they have been forced to put further educational advancements on hold to support their family, often forced to take lower-paying, low-skilled jobs. They may also be a single parent living off one income. Educators need to understand that many parents raising children in poverty do care about their own education and their child's education. They are living in circumstances that have made it difficult to pursue their own educational aspirations and instead focus on their child's.
True or false? Parents from poverty families don't want to enter these. The truth is, families do want to actually attend their children's events. There's many factors that fall out that makes them not be able to. Number one, time constraint. Many families, especially ones in poverty, work different hours. They're working night shifts, they're working day shifts, sometimes they're working more than one job to make ends meet, and they cannot meet the times that are scheduled by teachers. Missing work for school events means missing wages, and for families in poverty, they need those wages. Number two, communication. Many times, any communication these families get from their teachers is only when their kids have been bad. Parents don't want to come to the school when they think that they're just coming for a negative experience. They want to see some of the positives that are happening, and that is not the case for some of them. Many parents don't actually know that these events have happened until after they've happened due to a lack of communication between school and three. Home and school experience. Many times as educators, we assume that these children don't come from good homes. That thought can either build or sever links and relationships between your families and their students. 4. Language barrier. Sometimes these parents cannot speak English and they cannot understand what is being said. In some cultures, it's not okay for the kids to be translating for the parents, and that creates an issue within their own family. 5. They are afraid. Sometimes in these situations, parents have never actually graduated high school, so they've never learned the fact of conferencing with their teachers. And sometimes when they are at work and they have to come right from work and they are in uniform, they don't want their kids to be embarrassed for their peers to see where their parents actually were. People now don't understand the educational jargon of things like sight words, standardized testing, instead of just the simple word of grades. And last but not least, the unknown. Some parents don't know how to help or what to do, so they don't come because they don't want to look like they don't know what they're doing.
So why does race intersect with poverty? In short, discrimination and marginalizations are huge roadblocks when trying to leave poverty. Socioeconomic status causes hardship in income, education attainment, and financial security. So why do we see a poverty in people of color, especially First Nations in Canada, comes from the results of a tragic rippling effect. There is a vast amount of First Nation parents working full-time at insecure jobs and receiving a failing wage because of this. So the reason we don't see them at school events is not because they don't care for their child, but is because they are trying to hold a job that already isn't in their favor.